Long before the biblical Great Flood, there existed a time when gods walked among men. These divine beings sired children upon human women, producing offspring known as the Nephilim, which translates to the fallen ones. However, with the coming of the flood, it is believed that most of them perished. So how did some survive? And why do they want us to forget this today? Hi everyone, and welcome back to our channel, where we bring you the craziest and weirdest conspiracy theories. Today, we are diving into the intriguing question of how the Nephilim survived the Great Flood and what secrets they may be hiding from us. In the book of Genesis, it is written that the Lord regretted creating humankind because they were wicked and corrupt. To wipe away all life, he unleashed a great flood that lasted 40 days and 40 nights. But the story says that Noah and his family, who were righteous in the eyes of the Lord, survived in an enormous boat called an ark. However, many conspiracy theorists believe that the Nephilim survived as well, but they want us to forget this fact. Why would they want us to forget their existence? What are they hiding? The idea that the Nephilim survived the flood can be found in the ancient texts, like the Dead Sea Scrolls and other apocryphal books not included in the Bible. According to these texts, some Nephilim were born after the creation of Adam and Eve and were the descendants of Seth, the son of Adam and Eve, and the Nephilim were giants, hairy and strong, up to 30 cubits in height, with 1 cubit equating to about 18 inches. This would make some of the Nephilim over 45 feet tall. The theory suggests that they possessed extraordinary strength and abilities beyond those of ordinary humans, and that they were often depicted as ferocious and terrifying creatures. During the time of the biblical flood, the Nephilim are said to have boarded ships and sailed to higher grounds, escaping the rising waters. After the flood subsided, they are believed to have repopulated the earth, leaving behind physical evidence such as the mounds of stone that are still visible today. Some believe that the Nephilim were actually aliens who came from the planet Nibiru, also known as Planet X. This idea is based on the belief that the planet Nibiru has an elliptical orbit that extends as far out as Pluto and then wraps around the Sun, passing Earth every 3,600 years. Proponents of this theory argue that during these close encounters, the Nibiru ships land in remote areas, such as deserts or under the sea, leaving behind artifacts that are later discovered by humans. One of the main pieces of evidence cited by believers is the discovery of giant human skeletons that have been found throughout history. While mainstream archaeologists dismiss these finds as hoaxes or misidentifications, believers argue that they are proof of the existence of giants in the past. For example, in 1899, a skeleton of a giant was discovered in the Egyptian city of Fayum. The skeleton was over 7 feet tall and was dated to be thousands of years old. Similarly, in 1911, a giant skull was found in the Philippines that was over 12 inches long. Mainstream archaeologists have suggested that these remains may have belonged to individuals with gigantism or other medical conditions that cause excessive growth. However, believers argue that these explanations are just attempts to cover up the truth about the Nephilim. Another piece of evidence that believers use to support their claims is the existence of giant footprints that have been found in various locations around the world. One of the most famous examples is the 1,000-year-old footprint that was discovered in the Israeli cave of Beit Shean. The footprint is nearly 2 feet long and wide, and is too large to have belonged to any known species of human. Again, mainstream archaeologists have offered alternative explanations for these findings, such as suggesting that the footprints may have been made by animals, or that the impressions may have been created by natural processes, such as mud cracks. Some believers also point to the story of the biblical figure Goliath, who is said to be a giant over 6 feet tall. While skeptics argue that Goliath's size may have been exaggerated in the biblical account, believers claim that he is evidence of the Nephilim's existence. One reason why the Nephilim may have wanted us to forget their survival is to avoid persecution by humans. In the past, giants have often been portrayed as monsters or villains in stories, and it is possible that if people knew that the Nephilim were among them, they would be targeted and killed. Additionally, the Nephilim may have wanted to maintain a low profile to avoid being captured and studied by scientists or governments who may want to learn more about their biology and abilities. It is possible that the Nephilim have chosen to remain hidden in order to protect themselves and their way of life. It is possible that the Nephilim have chosen to remain hidden in order to protect themselves and their way of life. Another reason for wanting to keep their presence a secret is that the revelation of their existence could cause widespread panic and chaos. If people became aware that giants were living among them, it could lead to mass hysteria, social unrest, and even war. The Nephilim may have realized this and decided to keep their existence a secret in order to prevent such negative consequences. Finally, the Nephilim may simply want to be left alone to live their lives in peace. They may not want to be bothered by humans and simply want to coexist with us without being known. It is possible that they have chosen to remain hidden in order to protect themselves and their way of life. Some scholars suggest that the Nephilim mentioned in the Bible were simply the descendants of the first humans, Adam and Eve. Over time, they interbred with other human populations, leading to a mixing of bloodlines. This theory is supported by the fact that the Bible describes the Nephilim as being the sons of God and the daughters of men, suggesting a biological relationship between the two groups. Proponents of this view argue that the term sons of God refers to fallen angels who mated with human women, resulting in the birth of the Nephilim. However, mainstream theologians reject this idea, claiming that the term sons of God simply refers to the descendants of Adam and Eve. They argue that the Nephilim were not the result of interbreeding between humans and fallen angels, but rather the product of normal human reproduction. What do you think of this forbidden truth? Let us know in the comments below. Like always, if you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a big thumbs up and leave us some love in the comments section. To keep up to date with all of our awesome videos, be sure to hit subscribe so you never miss a thing. Until next time, do take care of yourself.